Okay, I got this one out quick because I think there'll be some headlines coming from it. The $25 billion question. The number circulating in Israeli intelligence contacts this week was 200 billion. The number Seymour Hersh actually reported was 25 billion, and possibly much more. That gap tells us something important. The story is being amplified, distorted, and weaponized. Surprise, surprise. Before it has even been verified. So we want to try to strip out the noise and find any signals. Okay, two numbers on the slide tell the real story. The $25 billion offer and Brent crude at $114 a barrel at the close of yesterday, with an intraday high of $126.41. The oil price is the most honest indicator we have. Institutions with actual intelligence analysis are not pricing a Hormuz reopening. That's telling us a lot. And the analysis we're using, that we're basing this presentation on, is from Seymour Hersh, the most credible investigative journalist alive. So who is Seymour Hersh? Why source credibility is our starting point. Most geopolitical reports that affect markets can be immediately discounted. Anonymous sources, unnamed officials, rumours on Truth Social, these are implied in volatility events, not information events. Hersh is categorically different. His track record is not merely impressive, it's the gold standard of investigative journalism over 6 decades. For example, the My Lai massacre, 1969. He exposed the massacre of 500 or more Vietnamese civilians that the Pentagon had successfully covered up. It changed the political trajectory of the entire war. In 1974, he reported the CIA domestic surveillance. The Church Committee was convened as a direct result of the CIA, his reporting. The Church Committee was meant to rein in the CIA, which it did for a short time. 2004, Seymour Hersh was the one that broke Abu Ghraib, the torturing after 9/11. Photographic evidence existed. Hersh is the reason it became public. The Pentagon's initial denial lasted approximately 48 hours after publication. The Bin Laden raid narrative, 2013. His version was dismissed as conspiracy theory by every mainstream outlet. Key elements have since been independently corroborated. Has he been wrong? He has been deceived by sources. But he does not fabricate. He does not publish without the room. The fact that he has published this on Substack, his chosen platform since leaving mainstream institution, is itself a signal. He's not beholden to editorial committees. Okay, what Hersh actually reported. 3 key disclosures. Claim 1, the offer. Trump is talking to Iran about a payment of at least $25 billion and possibly much more in exchange for reopening the strait. The mechanism for how the offer was communicated was not disclosed to Hersh. Claim number 2, the fracture. Trump no longer trusts Netanyahu. Thank the Lord. He believes he was misled about the likely success of the joint US-Israeli bombing campaign. No kidding. This is the more important disclosure for anyone thinking about structural geopolitics, not the dollar figure. What will Netanyahu do? Claim number 3, the deal structure. Iran would receive the payment and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Nuclear negotiations will be deferred to a later stage. This sequencing, Hormuz first, nuclear later, is exactly what Iran has been demanding through every mediation channel. Note on the 200 billion figure, the Israeli contacts appear to be deliberately putting out bodgy figures. The broader intelligence picture as of the week of 27th of April 26. So the Hersh report doesn't exist in a vacuum. Here are some events from last week that corroborate different elements of his report. Iran counter proposal. Tehran gave the US a formal proposal through Pakistani mediators to reopen Hormuz, end the war, defer nuclear negotiations. The White House confirmed Trump's national security team discussed it in the Situation Room. Rubio's pushback. The Secretary of State publicly distanced himself from any arrangement that reopens Hormuz without the nuclear concessions required by the US. This is a direct contradiction of what Iran is demanding and suggests the deal is not even close as the headlines are making it seem. Next, the CENTCOM military briefing. That's the big one. Trump received a briefing on new military options, including a short and powerful wave of strikes and a plan to physically seize part of the strait. The military track runs simultaneously with the domestic track. The military track does not sound good. Khamenei's statement. The Supreme Leader publicly vowed to defend nuclear and missile capabilities and stated that foreigners have no place in the Persian Gulf except at the bottom of its waters. That's not really the language of a regime that's preparing to accept a bundle of dollars. And Brent at the 111, 114 mark. This is the most honest cooperation available. Institutions with real intelligence access are not pricing in a near-term resolution. The oil price is the aggregate probability estimate of everybody with skin in the game. Brent is at 112, up $1.50, nearly $1.60 at the time I recorded this on the 1st of May. Okay, so why the Friar thinks the deal is not imminent. There appears to be 4 structural impediments. Even taking the Hersh report at full face value, the offer is real and the back channel exists. Trump wants a deal. 4 structural impediments make a weekend resolution effectively impossible. Impediment 1, Iran's internal division. Aragaki explicitly told Pakistan, Egyptian, Turkish and Qatari mediators in Islamabad that there is no internal consensus in Tehran on how to address US nuclear demands. So one would imagine you can't sign a check when the recipient organisation is divided about whether to accept it. Impediment 2, the nuclear sequencing problem. Washington's position is nuclear first, then Hormuz. Tehran's position, Hormuz first, nuclear later. Israel's position is wipe out Iran. These are not positions that can be bridged with money alone. Paying $25 billion to open Hormuz without resolving enrichment hands Iran cash, international legitimacy and time to rebuild. Little Rubio knows this. Impediment 3. The military track is still live. CENTCOM's strike plans are not decoration. Trump's holding both the financial offer and the military options simultaneously is the definition of maximum pressure diplomacy. The military briefing on Thursday is not separate from the Hersh story. It's part of the same negotiating posture. And impediment 4, market probability. Brent at 111, 114 range is in a 4-year high, up 60% since the war began back in February 28th. Goldman Sachs estimates Hormuz flows are now at just 4% of normal levels. The energy market is the most efficient aggregator of resolution probability. If institutions believe a deal is imminent, Brent would be at $90. It's not. The analytical framework. Is this Fry's Peter and the Wolf playing out again? This is the 4th or 5th major deal imminent signal since Hormuz closed. The Taco gap, Trump announces ceases offer, is now well-documented pattern in this conflict. The market has been trained to buy the headline and then reverse when the physics don't change. Fry's doctrine treats Trump geopolitical statements as implied volatility events, not information events. The question is not, is this real? The question is, does this change the physical reality of the Hormuz disruption? Why this signal is qualitatively different. Hersh's sourcing is an Israeli government insider, not an anonymous US official, not a think tank analyst, not a social media post. The Trump-Netanyahu trust fracture is independently corroborated by Trump's behaviour. He cancelled the Kushner-Witkoff meeting in Pakistan because they are Israeli agents, as we know, something he would not do unless genuinely frustrated with Israel. Iran's counter-proposal is confirmed by 3 independent news wires. It's not a rumour. Why Fry's thesis still holds? Ras Lafan's physical damage runs to at least 2029. No dollar amount reverses a demolished facility. Bromine supply from Israel, ICL Group controls 40% of global supply, continues to be disrupted, independent of any Hormuz deal, because Israel is bombing Lebanon, and that's breaking the ceasefire. Next, the Ayatollah Khamenei public statement is not diplomatic theatre. It binds his negotiating team. What he says really does mean what they want. And Brent at its current levels is the most honest indicator available. Okay. A quick update of the portfolio implications from this presentation. 4 active positions or thesis considerations are directly affected by this development. Firstly, Oxy fired a diamond indicator from last night's data. So the structure's valid. However, the executing over a weekend, certainly since after considering the Hersh report, the CENTCOM military briefing, and Iranian counter-proposals, and Israel's whatever they may do, meant to keep paddling, not to take the big wave, to actually wait till Monday and see what's happening. Okay, we need to see after the first 30 minutes or so what's happening with oil, what's happening with Oxy. But at the moment, we do have a diamond, but it's been overruled by fundamentals. Wait. Next, USO CVX long oil thesis remains intact. Brent at its current levels is the confirmation. The ceasefire narrative bias has been tested and appears to be failing to produce on the production of the not production of a resolution. We're just going to hold. We're waiting for entries on them. The SOX, the short thesis, the semiconductor import cost thesis, the helium from Ras Laffan, bromine, Israel, is independent of any Hormuz deal because Ras Laffan can't be undemolished. Israel can't stop making trouble for everyone. We're waiting for the stochastics to reset. It's currently at 97.6. So we're watching for a bear entry will be coming. LNG, we're watching and waiting for the entry. Stochastics is also has highs 94.9. The Hormuz LNG thesis remains intact. We're probably looking at the 263, 265 zone for the MACD cross confirmation before an entry trigger will appear. This weekend's news does not change the entry discipline. Finally, the bottom line. 4 conclusions prior to pass on to the trader friends. 1. Hersh is credible. The $25 billion offer is real intelligence. Trump being pissed off with Netanyahu has been confirmed by several sources. It's not noise. Treat it as structural development in geopolitical landscape. It means something. The deal is not imminent. Iran's internal divisions, Khamenei's public defiance, Rubio's pushback, and the live CENTCOM military option make a weekend resolution structurally impossible. The physics haven't changed. Follow the oil. Brent at its current levels, 111, 114, around there, is the most honest signal. As I've said, the institutions have the inside access. They get the late mail. And finally, the doctrine's response. Hold all positions. Do not execute new trades over the weekend. Reassess Monday, an hour or two after the market has processed the binary event risk. The wave's forming. Wait for it to get there. And finally, you can print money, you can't print oil, and you certainly can't print a working LNG facility in Ras Laffan. Have a good weekend.